and we're gonna continue recording. Thank you for coming to our Tuesday, June 27th, Lisle Township special meeting. And we're calling this meeting, the second portion of this meeting, to order. We have done our Pledge of Allegiance, and we can go with the roll call for
Can we keep it as the same as prior?
Great, we'll keep it as the same as prior. And now we'll go to the public comments. We'll start with the in-person public comments, and I'm just resetting my stop. Okay, and we'll keep going around in the circle. Mr. Spiegelin, if you have a public comment. We have 3-minute public comment for in person.
You know, there's any more. Nothing in addition. Yeah, I mean, one of my unfortunate hobbies is looking on Facebook at climate denialists, the kind that say, oh, well, it's common sense that human activity can't affect the climate, you know, and this sort of thing. And I understand where some of the trustees are coming from. I do not understand the details of the budget. Some things cannot be understood by common sense, but I really like to think, and I'm sorry if I'm making myself look stupid by harping on this, that we have this multi-million-dollar surplus, and yet there is some need to cut the budget by $175,000. As I understand, this was arrived at by talking with various employees. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's nothing on paper that results in this figure. It seems to me someone ought to be able, if this is valid, to put it in some terms that I can understand without being a budgeting expert. How do we have this surplus and yet we have this compelling need to cut it by a certain amount? I'm willing to have someone explain it to me and say, oh, now I get it. I'm not philosophically devoted to saying we absolutely cannot have budget cuts, but it seems to me like this disparity could be explained in some way that I can understand it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Steven.
Furthermore, I mean, we keep going back and saying, I don't know where people are getting this idea that staff is going to be cut. Well, if you cut the payroll by 1/3, you're cutting staff. And I'm going to say it again and again and again until I'm blue in the face, because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. We've said it publicly in the financial committee meeting. It's in the paperwork. So that's where part of the cuts are coming. And then the other cuts, I believe, are senior services. I think somebody's throwing around a number of $40,000 being cut from senior services. But nobody here is really clarifying these numbers for Mark or I and being really specific. Do we or do we not have a $4 million surplus? Number one. Number two, if we cut the budget again, won't we end up with a $6 million surplus? I mean, we're just going to keep bringing in revenue and holding the taxpayers' money and not spending it, I guess. And is that typical for the townships in our area to hold $4 and $5 million in reserve? Because it sounds extremely unusual to me. And so then what do? Just keep holding this in reserve, and then maybe when we elect a different person, we let them spend it? But meanwhile, we've lost senior services and we've lost food pantry drivers, or we've lost somebody. And in regards to the marketing, there was a marketing and outreach director. She was paid close to, I think, $70,000. And now she's the bookkeeper. It's going to take her 6 months to be trained. But she was first the director of operations. That didn't work. Then we made her the marketing and outreach director, and that didn't work. And now she's the bookkeeper, and she's making $70,000. To clarify, somebody else said $73,000, but I believe it's $70,000, and I believe it was up on the board earlier. She's now the bookkeeper, but she doesn't know how to do the books. So I just want to cut the fat where we should cut the fat. I don't want the drivers to go for seniors. I don't want the drivers to go for the food pantry. I don't want the receptionist in the office that answers the phone to go. I don't want the worker bees gone. I want the bigger people to take pay cuts, Or I want the other people who can't seem to like, I don't know how to do bookkeeping be cut. But the fact that we are even contemplating cutting 1/3 of the salary. And we're not saying directly, oh, it's gonna be the food pantry driver, oh, it's gonna be the new senior services director. Who I believe is highly qualified for this job. Do you know how hard that is to get these people in the door to work for you? Seriously. It's hard to hire people right now for these types of work, for this type of work, for the type of money you offer. So I just really hope this board really thinks long and hard, because I'm telling you right now, the minute these people are let go, I'm gonna hold each and every one of you accountable to the promises you made to me when you promised to expand services.
Thank
And I want recycling in this township,
Thank you.
period,
Thank you, Lynn.
period.
Okay, Ms.
Yeah.
Roth?
Okay, I'm not coming here to complain or to make angst amongst any of you. I don't even know you, but I know that you represent us, the Lisle Township. And I got scared learning about this stuff. I'm like, what? You know, how could this be? So if there is a suggestion or a need to cut, then can you please explain how we're gonna fix this and how we can, continue to expand these services if we cut this? Because truly the people that work here are really working hard. And if we want to do what it seems like the community needs, we need to have people that are committed to doing that. And we have to be able to pay the people that need to be paid, maybe get more information out there to the residents. I don't know, but it just seems so confusing to me and so. Like I said, I lived here for 32 years. I have never felt so insecure because I'm a senior now. I'm like, oh my gosh, right now I'm very lucky. I can drive, I can do things, I can volunteer. I can't really work. I'm disabled in a lot of ways, but what happens when I get older? And I need these services. I'm not planning on leaving Lisle, but I just never realized I don't know. I just think it needs to be a lot more clear to the people that live here and what is being done. And I'm not doubting that you're not doing your jobs or working in our best interest. I just think it needs to be more obvious. And I think that also there needs to be credit due where there is credit due. The people like Diane and the people that I see working here, because I come here 3 days a week and I stay here longer than I'm supposed to, so I can do work because we don't have enough people to do it. And I'm a volunteer. Okay, so I don't understand why, I just don't see how these people can do any more than they're already doing. And, I would really like to see this community thrive. Lisle Township is an awesome community. I grew up in Woodridge and then moved to Lisle. I have been in this township my whole life. And I just have never felt so insecure about living here as I do now.
What services you feel you're not getting that you
Well, I
had
don't
years
think
ago?
we hire services right now, but I'm afraid that there will be services in the future that I may need. Like right now, I'm having a lot of health issues in my family that is going to affect our family greatly.
Thank you.
With my family, it's like
Thank
I'm
you.
going to need services.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and then we're at Mr. Wild here.
I think everything that's necessarily said has been said. It's like some kind of answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Wild here.
We can
Ms.
talk.
Smith. Okay, Mr. Brubaker,
No further.
Ms. Vasquez.
I would just like clarification as well. Because when I did watch that, as I said, when I watched the video, that 175 was, or 180 was bantered around. And I know you're saying that you didn't mention the central personnel. But I literally heard reception. And the
Is that the
Yeah.
definition?
full-time, part-time, what do they do?
Private club.
Yeah, now, maybe you were just asking,
Yeah, we may have been asking questions, yeah.
no, I know, what do they do? And if you're talking about 175 and you cut it, it either comes from services. Personnel, but it was said personnel. Now, maybe you all talk too much, and that's why it comes off unclear. Because seriously, there is a problem with that. You have been talking over each other. That's why your meetings go so long. You're so tired. Anyway. It's just meetings. They're like, if they're awful, they don't talk too much. Just say what you want to say. Whatever. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Well, we love it.
Okay, then, Ms. Young. Okay, and then, we'll, the public comment online. I just want to make sure that we'll start from left to right. Making sure everybody that
If they
has
raise their hand,
a chance, and you can raise your hand. How about this?
that way you don't have to call out each person.
If you want to raise your hand by virtual,
how to
you
raise our
can
hand on Zoom now.
go down to
Right.
the very bottom with the reactions and raise your hand. And so we'll give you 5 seconds for anybody here to raise their hand virtually. Okay, then, we've had a chance for public comment online and public comment in person. Okay, then, we'll have the supervisor's report, and I am just going to make sure that everybody has a chance to keep testimony from the Northern Illinois I just wanted to remind you again, is this morning, we, a group of supervisors had, with food pantries, we've been working together to figure out as many options as we can for the food insecure. Because this is a crisis in the last few months that we've been, in a community and nationally dealing with. And so I just want to remind you that's the situation that we find ourselves in. Okay, so that was my supervisor's report. The next agenda item is discussion and actions on the proposed budget of 23-24 for Lisle Township. Do we have any motions?
I'll make a motion to discuss the proposed budget for 2023-24.
I'll second.
Discuss.
To discuss or for,
Discuss. Is that what you said? Yeah, we're supposed to discuss, right?
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's
just-
listed on the, yeah, it's listed on discussion and action. So you can take action on it at this point. You can open with a motion, or because it's already on the agenda, you can discuss and then decide on a motion. I did want to just clarify, because there are two budgets that were printed and in the packet, and so I just I wanted to clarify which one is which, just so that everyone's on the same page on when they're voting. So one is labeled ordinance number 23004. And one is labeled ordinance 23005. And if Supervisor Hewitt could just verify the difference, my understanding is that the difference is that 23005 is the proposal that Supervisor Hewitt mentioned during the hearing, or before the hearing, with the salaries in the town fund, the line item 101640 at 6,039, I'm sorry, 639,000. And increases in the IMRF and FICA categories. Are those is that the only difference between those two?
And the career and community center, for those who are, there's 4 total differences. And when you look up front here at the very top, one has the lowercase budget and appropriation, the one that that was the one that I did was, and it says version 2. Here, and then the one that trustee Robinson did has all uppercase, all capitals, budget and appropriations.
So just, yours is labeled the ordinance number 23005.
Right.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that when motions are made and votes are taken, it's very clear what you are voting on and motioning.
Is there audio on?
Let me just double check. Yes, I believe all the audio.
Just so I'm good. 004 is the one that trustee Robinson prepared.
Yes, as an outcome from our finance committee meeting on Saturday.
Yeah,
correct.
that's what's been built up.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to share.
Well, I think that's true. Yes. That, I put a document together with 004 on it, so I think that's, yes.
Okay.
Is there a spreadsheet budget too, or no?
There is a spreadsheet in there, but it's hard to read on because of the size of the font.
Well, I know, just the one. though, right?
Yeah, I just have one document that is dated.
It's yours.
It's okay,
Trustee Robinson.
yeah. so-
Okay, it's, yeah, I have it 7:30 PM on 6/27/23.
Today,
Cash basis, Lisle Township budget.
okay, okay,
Is that,
that's it.
okay,
That's the budget. That,
okay,
and again, I don't want to speak out of turn. This was built up over a series of meetings through the finance committee and recommendations that were made for what allocations or budgets we wanted to put in those budget lines. So that's what this document is. The culmination of a lot of work from a lot of people around this table and public input as well.
Is there a motion to approve one of these budgets?
I need a minute to make sure that it's okay.
Sorry, so Now I feel like a stickler. So there was a motion to discuss. It was seconded.
No, I didn't write that down.
I-
Was supposed to?
I didn't hear a second. Was there a second?
I did. I said for discuss.
Okay, do either of you want to withdraw that motion or do you want to?
I'll withdraw mine.
You'll withdraw the second. Okay, so guys, relax a second.
Thank you.
There we go. Thank you.
Are we gonna get clarification, Trustee Robinson, on the family counseling line?
Sorry, say that louder.
On the what line? The youth counseling, the youth line item. Like we never just, that came up a couple times as a question, so I just want to find out like. What is,
What's in youth and family?
It's youth, I'm sorry, it's fund 10-41H2. And then there is 10-4330 and then 10-4360.
there's a youth and family and a youth and family vans,
And then, yeah.
where is that van coming from?
So we're gonna go around and make sure that we have all of the questions from each, so each trustee has 3 minutes to ask questions and whenever we haven't.
I thought we
had
were in
it.
discussion, I'm sorry.
So we
You can
haven't
make a
gone to
motion
discussion.
To do that, though, to have an open discussion, if you'd like to make a motion for that.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to have an open discussion about some of the line items.
Thank you, trustee Geis.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Page. And then a roll call vote.
All in favor?
Trustee Geis.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes,
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes.
So in all the meetings that we've had, even as recent as Saturday morning, we've never discussed 4182, 4330, and 4360. So I just wanted some clarification on what the plan is for that.
fair question. I'll have to ask the supervisor for her input on those budget lines.
All right.
I thought we had a youth and family van, so that's why I thought this was just, it's been on the budget for multiple years, so I thought there was a van. No,
Well, last year.
So we need to go through and make sure that all the questions, so again, we're using these.
Wait,
They
Well,
just
so-
made a motion to change that.
Right, so and again, in our rules, we have 3 minutes, each trustee gets 3 minutes.
They just
and
made a
then-
motion to amend that.
it's a discussion, and this is not like
We're
each
having
taking a turn, we're
open
trying to
discussion.
discuss.
Okay, I'm just making sure that we're following the rules and
I-
have you not. And so we have 2 vehicles, to be clear. And so there's one vehicle that is generally referred to as for the food pantry. And so that's under, food pantry. Van maintenance and
2805?
2805. And then there's a little minivan, which is not the container truck, but is the little minivan, and that is under youth and family services. So that's the youth and family service van maintenance and the gas. It's already.
So we're
associated with that.
allocating funds for it twice then.
No, there's different vans. There's 2
Okay.
different vehicles. One is larger for food pantry. The second one has seats in it so that the employees can use it, for example.
Okay.
So there's 2 different vehicles.
Got you, but
Be
I
very
wasn't
clear.
asking, I wasn't questioning the food pantry van. I was questioning the youth and family, because I'd never seen one. I didn't even know we had one.
So what are we using it for?
So it's being used for example, if a staff member were to want to go to Springfield, then they can use that van. If they were to want to, for example, go to a training elsewhere, for example, when the weed and weans were previously done, that's what the vehicle was used in the past for. Mosquito abatement is one of the things that we're using it for right now. For recycling, for example, it's another option. If we need a second option for one of the, for the food pantry, that's the only backup option for our food pantry.
So those are great secondary uses. I support that, but I'm still trying to figure out when did we define that we had a youth and family program in van?
This was different. This must have been a decade or something ago because the van is at least 15 years old at the minimum.
Okay,
And so it's not a new vehicle. The reason why there's maintenance involved is there we have a line item. We haven't used it very often, but we did need a new battery last year. And we did have some basic pieces that were needed. It's at least a 15-year-old vehicle. If it was a year, I mean, I
Yeah.
can get you the.
we never talked about it, that's why I was asking, that's all.
It seems like it might be mislabeled. for the
Yeah,
use
maybe
of
that's
it.
what it is.
So then the other question is, we only had $100 budgeted, but 25 actual for youth and family services last year. So we do have 5,000 in there now. Is there a program that we should know about?
For example, one of the things that one of our staffers is working on is a drive for school supplies. Right now, one of the pieces is that we want to make sure that if the staffers have ideas for youth and family services, whether it's in the long term, we would have liked to have had a camp like other townships have for youth and families. So we wanted to make sure that as we have 3 social workers or 3 people with masters in social work, that they have the opportunity currently to use those services and have the opportunity to create programs. So 5,000 was a very small amount
Sure.
of money to put in there
Yeah. Sure.
to have that.
Who are the 3 staff members who would have master's degrees to run these programs?
There's a caseworker, a part-time caseworker that does, there's our executive assistant, and there's the director of general assistance.
So would there be a staff that would be responsible for youth and family services?
Currently, we do not, but we have, again, 3 people that have the ability to have programming. We have somebody in the past that was a former school counselor for decades. And in the past, frankly, was one of the people we were discussing how we could develop a youth program, just like, for example, DuPage Township has a camp for youth. It's in the summer every year.
DuPage Township has a camp?
Yes.
And then, so one of the things that we talked about when we talked about like this school backpack programs, we talked about looking for other agencies to partner with on that so that we wouldn't be solely funding it. And because there's a lot of corporations in the area that fund those programs, so I don't know that like that's something we want to spend 5,000 on if we're gonna partner with someone, right?
And we are working and partnering with a variety of people. And again, the idea of this is to make sure that the main piece of this isn't for the drive that's coming up we're already in. So if anybody would like to donate a school supply, the main piece is for the idea of the implementation of a school program.
Okay.
Of a summer camp. So that's the.
Where would we host a summer camp?
So we can partner with the Park District, and the Lisle Park District in particular has a fabulous facility that we've used occasionally, for example, with the Tutoring Tuesdays. We've been working with them, and they're really close to us. So
Yeah,
it's a
which is
really
why we
great
should
option.
definitely be partnering with them on communications for seniors too.
Mhm.
And that's something we've talked to Terry Carvalho about. The Park District has summer camps, right?
They do. and
So
they
wouldn't
have
we wanna
long
look at,
waitlists.
and they have a long wait list.
Mhm. Yeah.
So would we ever be in a position to offer scholarships for camps in the different? communities
That's
that
another
we-
thing that I'm sure a proposal that could be figured out by either staff or by trustees.
I'm
that
just
could be-
thinking, instead of us trying to create something that already exists and is well run around us, maybe we offer scholarships to community
For them
members
to
who would-
attend there,
Correct.
that would be good.
But most people are waitlisted in our area for camps. There's no room. There's not enough camps for children.
Right.
Okay.
Most people
Kids already
waitlist their
attend.
kids.
I didn't see that the Lisle Park District camp was waitlisted, but it's possible.
Well, it's also Naperville because a lot of people from Lisle Township live in Naperville.
But so the question then remains is if those are over full to get, to capacity, we would not be able to put on a camp here without proper credentials or wherever we would do it. So, so it seems like there needs to be some work to be done with that.
Without a
Do
doubt.
we have a price tag on something like that.
And so what we're, again, anything like that would have to come before the board, there'd have to be approvals.
Yeah.
So you all would
putting
be
it out
involved
there,
with
yeah.
that, but we're not there yet. What we are starting with is we realize that for the next 9 months, this is gonna be the budget we're gonna be working with unless we amend it. So that being the case, we want to at least make sure that they have the option. So that was why we put that $5,000.
You come,
And I
okay,
would just say that
Thank
we've
you.
upped the contingency on it, for $5,000. So we may want to put that into consideration too. I don't know. If there's something that's not completely planned, do you want to leave it in there to be planned? Or do you want to use a contingency once something's planned, because it might be more than $5,000?
True.
Something like that.
True.
my
And
thought
again,
is,
I'm sorry.
I just say, my thought is to leave it at 5,000. They'll come back and say, here's how we think we can spend it. It's a budget number. But I'm interested in hearing other opinions. Do you have a position?
I would agree with what you just said.
I think we should change the label to the
Yeah.
youth and family van.
Well, I agree with that. I think that should just be services van.
Yeah.
And maybe even include it to make it easier, the make and model or year or something too,
Yeah.
so that we can
Different.
understand
Yeah.
which
One's
one
a
we're
Plymouth,
speaking
one's
to.
a
So
Ford.
call it like a township,
Right.
township services van. or
I'm just saying to
something.
make it
That's
easier
Yeah.
for us to
Okay.
understand which vehicle we're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Would it be helpful to say a minivan and a service van? Because the service van is the food pantry and the minivan is
Passenger van.
the minivan or the passenger
It's a
van?
passenger, van, right?
Mm.
It has seatbelts, people can sit in it.
Yes.
That's the
Okay.
difference.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay,
So,
Thank you.
Yes.
township services passenger van.
I wanted to go to
Thank
the mental health board, just to confirm that everyone is fine with the 75,900 to be that 40,000 in that, has been said. That there's not a need for, and just, the other part is to just make sure it says loan. And we don't have any loan papers or anything like that.
Not yet.
How is
And-
that working?
And here's, the board is meeting tomorrow, and if they're likely, or they're thinking about amending their budget. And so if there is an amendment, and if there is a loan, there's gonna be a lot of documents associated with that. And you all are gonna be approving that loan and those numbers. So the point is that they are a new board. And they need to be given a chance to talk about, their changes in needs. And they're gonna come back to us and enumerate exactly what they need. There's going to be an intergovernmental agreement or some kind of loan paper that would allow us to clearly denote that this is a loan and we're getting the money back.
So they'll come and give us a presentation.
Yes, I would expect that from the seminary board.
But I would still write on the budget item a loan, because otherwise it is, saying
Yeah, it looks
that.
like we're giving, yeah, okay. I
So if you
agree.
could change, would you change that, trustee Robinson, to loan?
Yep.
I know there was some talk about, going back up with, career and, conflict or career networking.
Yeah,
Um,
I did the math on that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, go ahead, because I was gonna bring up.
So it was estimated there's 50 to 55 Lisle Township users of it. And so if we were paying, I think I did the math, if we were paying 50% of the annual membership, it comes out to $3,439.50. So it's still under, but now that doesn't factor if there's people who can't afford it and then we pay the full 125. That kind
So,
of
yeah, so they're still gonna be paying $65 if they.
some, only if, okay, so they'll pay 65 or they can get the full scholarship.
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
so, but that was that, I just factored it based on if they were paying 50%.
So you,
Go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, so that was a discussion, an open discussion from the Saturday's meeting. Do we want to change that to 10,000? Because of the relationship, because of the proposal that was put in front of us.
I
So-
would like
The
to
first
propose that we
5,000
have we do stipends for anyone who might need it over. The difference between 125 and the 65, then I looked it up online. Actually, there's no cost, but if you want to have an annual membership, so if you want to use the service for the whole year, then you buy a membership. If you buy it right now, I think it's up till tomorrow or the end of the month, it's $75. After that, it's going up to $125. So the people who've had it before, I have been paying $75. So my thought is if we still do the $5,000, even if they have to pay the $125, maybe we could give them the stipend for like at least half. If they need the whole thing, give the whole thing. And then our total in based off of the numbers is like $8,000. You know, if 55 people do it, otherwise it's $5,000.
In the past, many more people from the township.
Do you remember what kind of numbers?
I don't, but I know it was much higher.
Oh,
really?
Yes.
I'm just thinking in today's environment that we have people who need jobs, but we have people who are looking for positions to fill
Right.
as well. So, you know, I don't know if people need a whole year subscription or want to be there for them if they do. So we would like to give them a
So
stipend.
if they don't take the whole year, what does it cost?
Nothing. It says no cost.
So, yeah,
For certain
I'm
things.
sure that there's certain programs that are no cost, like they have certain programs that are no cost, but there's a lot of programs that do, you have to be a member in order to get those savings. And again, I think we would have to, if we were to change this whole agreement, we'd have to go back to the Career and Community Center and renegotiate with them what they're willing to do. Because part of this is that in the past, I think Highway Commissioner Young is very accurate. With a less than 5% unemployment rate, which is rather low, we're, I think, not seeing the amount of people that would use the center if we advertised it. And if that, as we're seeing inflation rise, as that hits the economy with a harder job economy, then I think those numbers are going to go up.
And then
So-
we can adjust. That's all I'm
But can't we do, well,
Because
okay,
this is a sponsorship is what it.
well, the
is.
first 5,000 is definitely a sponsorship. We're getting nothing, 5,000, we're doing it as good faith agency, you know,
Partners.
partners. I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. John Triggers didn't bring pretzels. Just saying.
I'm hungry too, so I got it. Yeah.
So would we like to make an adjustment to that budget line to 10,000 or something between 10? It sounds like we need the service at a higher level based on
It
historical
doesn't
use.
look like we need the service.
Well, I'm concerned about the economy. I don't have a vote,
No,
but
but
I'm concerned about the downturn later on. And it's $2,000.
And Kim White said that we could get monthly numbers, so if we're like on the monthly side, we can get a understanding of, hey, this is the increase in our services, this is, so if there needs to be an adjustment in the future, we can make that at a later time, but we've been promised more data, because they've changed their data, how they're collecting their data.
I think the challenge is right. We're dealing with a legacy agreement of the initial 5,000, which I had, we learned this Saturday. I thought that first 5,000 was helping our community, and it's not. It's just a sponsorship. So it's not till the second 5,000 where we're actually helping people.
Do
This
we
is
know
the
that
challenge.
for sure? Do
Yes.
we have that in writing?
Yes, that in Kim White, I mean, I can make sure that Kim White sends that to everybody.
No, I got your email, and the number was 50 to 55. But if Highway Commissioner Young is saying that the number's been higher in the past, and we don't know what's happening with our world right now, I don't know, I'm really struggling with this.
We always have the option to do stipends too. So, but I will say that I rather give money in this capacity than in some other place, because this is to help people.
Well, when
Yeah.
split the difference then? $2,500 extra.
But she negotiated the other 5 already.
This has already been, so we would have to go to them and see if they would allow stipends, because they don't currently do that.
They don't want.
What they
And
do,
they don't want,
payment if I go on the website, because I could join myself for 75 or 125.
so it
So
would
could we do
require
that?
more work for both staffs, both organization staff, which then is a cost. The way that this was set up was going to be frankly easy for both staffs. This has already been arranged. If we were to change any of this deal, we would have to go back to them, renegotiate it, figure out a new option and procedure and everything, and we had this.
Well, you know what would be helpful, and maybe so before, regardless of what happens today, if we can make sure that we're, like you said, if we get monthly reports so that we can plan better for next year. I just feel like because we weren't part of any of that conversation, we didn't know that it was even being negotiated, right? Because we didn't know.
So in November of 2022, Kim White came to our board and gave a presentation.
But at that time, I didn't understand that the first 5,000 was a donation. So that, in fairness to me, because I don't think anybody did.
So here's how I think historically this came about, was that they originally, and this is how I'm learning this, is that the first 5,000 was a sponsorship for a dance. And so that's part of what on Saturday, the ticket goes on sale for their annual gala. And again, Kim White wanted to, and if you don't mind me getting this information really quick, it's September 20th. And we have 6 tickets to the board. Are there 3 couples or 3 people
No, I
that
love
wish to
that.
go?
So.
I know, it just sounds so bad. We're giving you
It's so
$10,000 or whatever it is, and now we get tickets.
Well,
Well, that's what it was, that was the.
That's
It
any
doesn't
sponsorship.
feel-
Well, that's any sponsorship, though. That's any sponsorship, you get 2 tickets, like. I mean, that's
That was
just-
the
that's part of
previous deal,
sponsorship.
and that's what the first 5,000 was for. And so that's how I've been told we got into this historically, was that we bought it as a township, we bought a ticket or a sponsorship.
A
table,
sponsorship, not a ticket. Don't say, yeah. we
A
bought
sponsorship?
Yeah.
And in return, that was what, so would any of the trustees or Highway Commissioner Young,
We were much more involved. We had people sitting on the board, we had staff that contributed greatly, so the complexion of the relationship has changed drastically.
Yeah.
And before, with all the activity that the board members had, there was much more discussion and much more awareness of the township, what the services were available.
Yeah.
And I think many, well, the county too, but I think many more township residents took advantage of it.
I mean, yeah.
I
so-
would propose we put it back to 10,000. I think the administrative on both sides, and we'll see.
But with that, we're gonna get monthly reports of usage. And not just a number, like I would like to know that the person is actually in Lisle Township. So,
It's meant
so
to be.
verification of that, so that we can also then see, says, what if it exceeds?
right?
So, okay,
Thank
You
you.
got it. We will definitely ask for those numbers and whatnot.
And
Then, just to make sure I know who wants tickets for this September 20th. No from trustee.
I won't pay me, if somebody else
It's
wants to go,
social,
out.
no,
You
thank
know,
you.
I love it, because I know, I mean, I love it,
So
so.
you'd like 2 tickets.
I mean, I'll only take one if someone wants to come with me, it's kind of totally fine.
So you'd like 1 ticket right now? Or 2?
Depends on what everyone else wants to do.
Trustee
Jean,
Robert,
No,
Trustee
not for me,
Page.
thank you.
trustee Robert.
no,
Social.
Okay,
Social.
Clerk Paulowitz,
When is it?
September 20th. Tickets go on sale.
What is it exactly that?
It's a
Dancing with the
gala.
stars, so
Dancing
it's,
with the
they
Stars.
have,
It's a
fundraiser.
fundraiser.
there's dancing?
so done.
It's a great time. It's usually- it's a great time, and the
Okay, no,
trustees
for
should-
Clerk
Or-
Pol-
They put me down for 2. I'll take my wife.
2 for.
You should- It was the
trustee
Dancer of the Stars one. You missed it.
And Highway Commissioner Young, would you like?
No, thank you.
And Assessor Trowbridge, would you like 2 tickets to the Career Networking Center
No, thank you.
gala? Okay. So we have 2 with Robinson, trustee Robinson, 2 for trustee Geist, and it looks like.
No?
I'm Indian spin drive.
Oh, well, I didn't govern
Go
like,
myself.
we're governed like, are you gonna come?
I'd like to go. It looks
You
like-
should come, it's fun.
Sounds like fun. Okay, then, so that's the career and community center.
Sorry, and just so I'm tracking, just so everyone's. There are 4 changes that have been requested to the budget as it's been presented. One is to change the thank you, Career Center budget to $10,000. The second is to change the wording of budget line 104181 Mental Health Board to say loan instead of startup costs.
Yep.
There's a request for budget lines 10-4330 and 4360 to replace the YNF van with the description Township Services passenger van. Those are the 4 changes that we've talked about and agreed to so far.
Are we okay with the staff training that has gone from $8,800 to $23,000?
Do we know what, any idea of what, was that just a number per person that we came up with, a calculation? Like, we have 6 people and 6 people need to go to training and, this is the average cost for a class, is that how we came up with the number, or did they have specific classes that they?
There was backup.
They have specific classes for each employee, gave a list of the classes that they were looking to do, or that they would potentially be looking to do if they, with whatever job description they were at. So they were all asked for that, and then as well as some classes were planned and scheduled to make sure that if there was a need, we're not always gonna know all the classes that are gonna be needed and ahead of time, but that's how we came up with that number.
And some of them need, like any kind of certification, they need training to keep their certifications current. So some of them are because of some of the new staff we've hired and the roles they have.
Certifications under a different line item?
Sorry.
Certifications under. a different
Right,
line
but
item.
you also need training sometimes to keep your certifications current, right?
So the masters and social, the staff with masters in social work in particular needed to keep that training, to keep that license.
As I said, I'm in favor of that training budget because I want to tell our employees we're going to invest in them, that they're important, that we want to invest, we want them to grow, develop, and have a successful career here.
I just want to keep it away from on-the-job trainings, that we hire somebody without any skills and then we teach them how to do it. That's not the right way to hire. And that's what I'm afraid that money is going to be used for.
Well, I would encourage the personnel committee to, as part of your discussion with the employees, to really dig into these numbers.
And we need to also have some type of guideline that if we do pay for that training, that they stay with the township for a specific period of time, or they have to.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's actually,
You can't force people to stay working. For
no, you can, no, they have to pay, no.
but they can repay their,
They have to pay it back, because we've enhanced their, that's how it works.
I'm getting that squabble with the personnel.
So you can do an employment agreement, but just be aware that it grants rights. No one's gonna sign an agreement that doesn't give them rights to. So it limits your ability to terminate someone, or, it depends on how it's drafted. There are ways to draft it, but
If
But
we're going
an
to be
agreement is
enhancing
a two-way
someone's skills and they're going to, every company does this to protect themselves.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be enhancing their skills and they decide, oh, I'm done, now I'm gonna take this and go make $10,000 more. Now we've just lost the investment in that employee plus the cost of that training.
the difference becomes about whether or not they have a property interest right in their job, which is not something you have to deal with in the private sector. So when you create a contract, you're creating a property interest.
So the question right now would be,
Yeah.
are we okay with that increase?
Well, then that makes it uncomfortable. Because someone could take the training and essentially go take a $10,000 higher paying job somewhere else with training we just invested in. Right,
Without having a list, we don't know what it is.
right.
The risk you've always taken.
No, we didn't have such a budget for training.
which,
We're creating it now.
which budget line are we talking about
We're
specifically?
talking staff training, 1638, but went from $50 actual to $13. $13,000, excuse me, and then 104210 added in to be another $2,000. There's 15, or there's $13,000, and then when you go up into 101624, no, is that the right one? There's meeting and dues, but when you look at how it was broken up, There's anticipated training and professional development of 5,000, pace driver training of 800, GATI training of 1,200, plus, and then it's membership and dues.
But the pace driver's already been trained.
And this
So
is
if they
super
were-
picky,
if it
but
was-
should it be under there, or should it be under pace?
They
Yeah.
were trained this year in this
Yeah,
cycle.
in
so-
this budget.
Oh,
year.
they have to get trained every year?
Well, yes, but there's certification, but they were trained, this cycle was when they were trained, meaning they were trained on May. And so that.
This is over, got it. I'm taking another point.
Too late.
Just so, I mean, I feel, I don't wanna. I don't wanna repeat myself, but I also wanna make sure we're all on the same page. This budget and appropriation ordinance is the max that can be spent in each category. This doesn't authorize. A specific training or a specific expenditure on training. So I know that, you know, there's some discussion about the specifics of training and I. You know, that can be discussed when the training is proposed and whether or not the employee
Thank you.
goes.
But Attorney Yusaki, because it's on the budget item, it could go through and the only time they'll see it is at a audit after it's been done.
At the audit of
Because it's at a
expenditures.
budget item.
Yeah.
If it's over 5,000 guys, it's something different, but below 5,000, it will not come across them till audit.
Well-
So yes and no, you know.
I guess we could amend our approval process to say different, have a different level for fun, for training. If that's what our concern is.
Or you keep it the way it is for now, but you go back and in personnel or whatever and make some kind of policy.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea. Mhm.
So this way, it's just not an automatic.
Got it.
Okay, so we're okay with the number, but we're gonna have some follow-up discussion in the
Yep.
committee. Good.
So then the elephants in the room are the senior services, right? Of $12,000 budget.
Yeah.
So
That was talked about, and it's, so I don't know if, yes.
there was no solution to it.
Well,
Sorry, there was
We
a,
didn't understand that, no, because what we said is 12,000 for the lunch, because it was for lunch and learns and tchotchkes.
right, and there was a sheet distributed, I believe, at the budget meeting, or it was presented on the screen. I think it's in the packet now. There was a significant cost for newsletters. So there was envisioned that there was gonna be separate newsletters for this, and I think part of your discussion was, no, they should be incorporated. Either a different way to communicate or a separate way to, or as incorporated as part of the township newsletter, so.
We don't want to approve a second printing. It should be part of the township newsletter. Someone
Right.
could also be on the cusp of not being a senior yet. And for them to have that information, or maybe I have a senior parent. So if that information is not in my packet, in my newsletter, I may not know what's available to my senior parent.
I understand,
So
so
communication should be consolidated.
I agree completely, and I think that was, you
It
had,
keeps the cost down.
yeah, agreed, and I think that was part of I think when, you know, the new director started, she was saying, how can I reach out to the community and identify needs? How can I best communicate? And I think her experience is probably, I send out a newsletter. So I think she said, this is what I would like to have in the budget. So I think we're saying, let's find another way to connect. So
Well,
I
when we
think,
met with her the other morning. There was definitely pushback on that. She really wants her own piece, and I said, we just can't, not right now.
Yeah.
But we also have all of these resources, we have all these. There's, you know, Debbie Bryan at the Park District, and there's a senior person at each of the area park districts, we can be tapping into their list. And should be doing community outreach, she's absolutely correct. We should be going to the places where the seniors are.
Right.
So that they're aware of the services, we don't need to do another mailer separate from the town.
so I think that was,
So-
sorry if I'm cutting you off, but I think that was a significant part of this budget. So I think we can, and I believe you're gonna propose, like, let's, you know, $6,000. Let's make that one 6,000 so that, and talk about other ways to communicate. So agree completely with that. That would be change number 5 that we've approved.
Do you remember? I brought it up, but what number is it?
Yeah,
20-8702. It's actually down in the G and A.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, right at the very last line, actually.
Seniors.
I'm sorry, what was that changed to?
It's what we
6,000.
just talked about, the lunch and learns,
And the newsletter for seniors.
but you're not doing a
We're
separate
not
newsletter.
doing a separate newsletter. for
That's what we
seniors.
just
Because
agreed.
you also want to promote it as a township
Correct,
benefit.
Yes.
not a separate, right?
Right.
So there's.
I like
other
the
townships
outreach
that have it.
too. I
If
mean,
they
I think
use it.
people get a lot more information from people speaking them to them, because so many people just throw away flyers. They don't even look at them.
We
They don't
one of the
even
staff
realize
members,
that there's resources in there for them. So that would be
They're
a
expensive.
very good idea.
a staff member actually had a very good idea when she, with the in-house printing. To, for the senior services director to come up with, some flyer of some sort, we could print it in-house. We have the buses, they could go on the buses, they could go in the food pantry, they
Yeah.
could go in library. It's a way to get started that
Right.
doesn't have a $6,000 price tag on it.
And not to micromanage, but say that we could use the Winky Blinky lights. Yeah, for the village and for Lisle Savings. They have the lights.
What are those signs
We
called?
could,
What did you call it, Wink?
Winky Blinky lights.
What are they actually called?
Like
Signs.
municipal, like
Dynamic-
informant or something, they're
dynamic
wonderful.
Signs.
Dynamic display.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, so we, again, appreciate everyone's time and commitment to this process. I've tracked 5 requests for changes. So that's what I've tracked. No, and I had supervisor requested additional funding for salaries and the associated employment expenses. I'm not sure that's something that the board wants to envision this time. We want to have those discussions. I know you're going to schedule time with the employees
Yeah.
to talk about, in particular, with job descriptions and look for how are we delivering services? And how do we make sure that we're laser focused on
Yeah.
delivering services? So those are the 5 changes that I've noted from what we talked about. Anything else? I know this is our discussion time. And my gosh, I see these numbers in my sleep, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Thank you for all your hard work. Jessica.
Oh,
Truly.
no, I'm not looking, but okay, you're welcome. You all put the time into, you said 8 o'clock meetings on Saturday mornings.
Those are my favorite.
4 days, I had to get up at 6:30 last week, 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
I want donuts next time.
Yeah, really. Anything else? Clerk Paulitz, you've raised a number of issues. I hope I feel we've addressed them all.
But we're good,
Good. So,
So I just want to make sure that the clerk has the 5 changes you are listing here,
Right.
because I have that. There's some changes to the language.
right,
But as for the numbers. Can you just go through what line item?
the only line item, thank you. The only line item changes I have is for account 10-3108 to increase that to $10,000. And for budget line 20-8702 senior citizen care to reduce that to $6,000
got it.
plus the
I
wording
think that's a
changes.
good number for lunch and learn. I mean, I know it's sandwich platters and this. Good number.
Okay,
So are we ending the discussion? Is there a motion to end discussion?
I don't think you need a motion to end discussion, but you do need. If you're going to pass this tonight, you need a motion to do that, but you also need to. The ordinance should state what the total amount of appropriations are, and since you have the 2 line items, that needs to be redone. Sorry.
no, you're right.
So this is your bottom line, so we need to add 5,000 and then take out 6,000,
So
right?
add in 1,000.
But that it's subcategories, so
Yeah, you have to, because they're different funds. So,
34.
Where are we adding one?
No, we're taking out,
We're
taking out 6 and adding in
10-3108, where we're
Taking out
increasing.
6 and adding,
5.
Yeah. So 10-3108, we're increasing that from 5 to 10,000.
so I have that.
well, mine says 10, so.
I think we're working on
There's
the
2 different,
variance, which is
I'm working off of
the
04.
04.
Yeah.
That's why I was confused.
And then 2087.
There's 2 different ones.
Where is that?
I think
Then,
we're just gonna-
Trustee guys, 208702, we're reducing that from 12 down to 6.
Yeah, I got that one.
Okay.
You were gonna be done with this?
Oh,
Wow.
That's what it is.
There.
Well, we don't have to end the discussion, right? But we're just gonna make a
Maybe
motion.
this is it. No, that's the one they handed out in the meeting.
We're gonna, so I'm gonna make a, just making sure I'm saying this correct. What's your name?
I'm sorry, I'm doing math for.
I am too.
I'm sorry. This is not my forte, so I.
Yeah,
That's the
I
one
think
had.
it's the 2023-04 with, or 04 with as amended.
Well, why?
Okay.
I just can't do math in my head anymore.
Well, that's total appropriations go down by 1,000.
Yeah, the total.
Oh, we
I agree
a
with that.
whole bunch of people online. They're gone.
They're
I
gone.
don't blame
They
them
went
there too.
They were hungry too.
They went to that. Oh, yeah. It's 10:49.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the clerk has the correction because you're the official record keeper, so I don't know if you want to run through the additions again or.
I will,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the totals, I guess.
okay,
That's,
so, make it in the form of a motion, or should I just say?
No, just tell me.
Okay.
yeah, just. yeah,
Okay,
just go
so
through it.
we agreed that we've got 10-3108, the budget will increase to $10,000.
Mhm.
That brings our total expenses up by $5,000, so that makes the total expenses for Township Fund 3484,515.
3,000,000.
Where do you see that number? I apologize.
It's on the appropriation
It's on
document.
the,
It's
we're
on the
looking at the
total.
appropriations.
So the total for the general town fund was increased by $5,000. I know it was.
Oh, that's even the wrong one.
Okay.
I.
No, that's fine.
tell me
That's
what
why I
page
wanted
I'm
to-
looking at. I apologize. Total expenses, 3479, will that be 10,000 more?
5,000.
5,000.
5,000,
Okay.
excuse me.
Let me pass this. That is,
3484,515,
Correct.
okay, and then the net other.
Well, and the funding balance will be 5,000 or less, right? Oh, no.
I got it. I
5,000
think I
less.
know it. It's just 5,000 more. Got it?
no, we went the wrong way.
Yeah.
There'd be 5,000 less because we're
Less.
spending more, sorry.
Okay,
This
I
is-
got it. 4550
0,
573,
correct.
okay. And then the
Budget,
12,000,
budget line 28702 will be $6,000. Which brings total expenses for G&A down to $267,075.
Okay.
And in that case, the estimated fund balance will increase by 6,000, so that will be $131,725,
and then the next,
and then our. let's see,
do we have to add the 3 million?
Right, our total appropriations will drop by 1, total appropriations for town and GA will drop by 1,000. So 3751,
Got it,
590.
got it.
I can
Okay.
I can
I
reprint,
can have my notes, I would appreciate, but go ahead and check into, double check, so I just want to make
I can
sure.
reprint, I can modify and resend these to everyone.
Yeah, we probably should, but
Right.
this is good to go.
I just want to make sure that when we're making the motion, everyone's on the same page and then. The ordinance that's actually signed and certified by the clerk, I would have these changes made on it before it was signed.
Yes, definitely.
So
I'll do that tonight.
Cleaner document. for your
We have to do that right away. It needs to go tomorrow,
You can get till the 30th, but
the
you tell me.
30th. Tomorrow would be the day.
Yeah.
for me.
I don't disagree with that.
I'll do it before I leave tonight.
All right. Okay, so is the,
Okay,
I would like to make a motion to approve the township budget and the ordinance document with the amendments that we've all discussed and approved, and the clerk has a copy of.
Do you want to say 2023-004?
Yes, thank you.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Thank you, trustee Robinson and trustee Payne. And then roll call vote to cut $6,000 off of senior services, and the roll call vote to cut drastic cuts in personnel. Clerk Paula.
Okay, trustee Robinson,
Yes,
trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Geis,
Yes.
supervisor Hewitt.
No. Okay, the motion passes with the budget. With the drastic cuts, don't know how they're gonna be done. Next, we are going to discussion and possible action on 2121 Ogden Avenue.
Can I make a suggestion? My understanding is that the information, that there's some information that the board needs to receive in executive session. Is that?
yes.
I'm sorry, I can't see.
Okay.
No, you're fine. I just making sure he wasn't making another pretzel run. Can we, does anyone? Is there any motion to just change the order of the agenda so that we do executive session at the end, so the public doesn't have to wait till you're done?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
Okay,
trustee
so-
Payne. And then a second. For the motion to move it.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson. And then we'll probably please Clerk Paula
Is it to change the
order of
It just change the order?
to, we were,
She could just change the.
He can
order.
change the order by consent, but we got into a little
Oh,
trouble doing
okay.
that last time, so
Okay.
the motion is fine.
Got
It
it.
will work.
We're good.
You're right.
so roll call vote.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, then we'll move that to the end. Discussion and action on the creation of the food pantry oversight committee. Is there a motion on the table?
I will make a motion to create the food pantry oversight committee.
Thank you, trustee Page.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson. And then any discussion?
Trustee guys, any input? No discussion?
Okay, then a roll call vote, Clerk Paula.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
No. The motion passes. For a creation of a food pantry oversight. Number 8 is old business. Does any board member have any old business to follow it?
That's my phone. I need the phone.
That's actually being worked on. I would expect that in the next week. That's, I was getting the details down, but that is being currently worked on it. Highway Commissioner Young,
Nothing,
Assessor Trowbridge,
nothing, thank you.
and trustee Geist. Nothing. Trustee Page.
No, nothing.
And trustee Robinson.
no, thank you.
Okay, and then any new business? Just anyone have any new business?
No.
Okay, reports of elected officials. Is there any, we'll go around in a circle. Craig Powitz, is there a report that you have?
No, thank you.
No report,
And then,
no, thank you.
and then trustee Geist, and then trustee Page,
Not tonight.
and then trustee Robinson.
Nope.
Okay, then, and I don't have one, we've already had a conversation. Review and approval of minutes.
No.
So we have.
The first one would be 6/21/23. That was the regular board.
I think the
6/21, it was a very short one. As I recall, just discussing the Staffel letter.
Yeah, that was.
I'll make a
yeah.
motion to approve.
Oh, no, this is on. Thank you, trustee Page.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson. Any discussion? And then a roll call vote for Powers.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. And then the next one is 6/14/23, the special, the Lisle Township board meeting minutes.
No, it's fine.
I don't see it, but it was in the packet. No, here it is. It's the stapled one.
I forgot, I do have a question. Where is the accountant? I mean, this was a pretty big meeting for her to be a part of. Where is the accountant?
Who's the question asked that?
Anyone, I don't know, we should answer it, I don't know.
Well, we didn't ask her to attend. We had all the information, put in these documents. Was there something? And we were trying to be sensitive to budget,
Yeah,
right? So,
okay. Well, I just felt like, because I don't know that. Mark's question was ever really answered. So it would have been maybe good for her to be here to answer it.
The budget over it, right?
Yes, anyone if you could answer.
Is that a question you can speak to?
Could we get through those? minutes?
We have 3 minutes.
Should we
per
discuss?
person.
Should we discuss?
And is there?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the Lisle Township regular board meeting for June 14th, 2023.
Thank you, trustee Page.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson. And then any more discussion? And then a roll call vote, clerk Polowitz.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, next is the minutes for the 614 road district public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the Lisle Township public hearing of the road district for 2023-2024, June 14th.
Thank you, trustee Page.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson. Any discussion? And a roll call vote, clerk Polowitz.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Geis? Yes. Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
I was gonna say, before you do that, if you wanna answer
Yeah.
Mark's question, I'm sorry, I forget your last
Spiegel.
name. Thank you. Spiegel. If you wanna
Can I make
answer,
a comment to clarify why I'm asking? I made that analogy to climate change, and I'm not sure I was clear why I was asking you. The point is, there can be complicated subjects about which common sense answers don't necessarily apply. And so a lot of the thing in climate denial, it's just common sense that puny man can't influence the climate system. So I understand that in asking this question, there may be things I don't understand. So I acknowledge that, but yet I'm hoping I can get a common sense answer to, why we can have a $4 million surplus, and yet it's critical to make these deductions from the budget.
I'll try to answer. And
And why would it? It's personnel, so personnel will be cut. And you just told us you would not do that. Every single one of you said it, so. Not feeling real happy.
Payroll's cut.
sorry,
What?
one issue at a time. So your question is,
Same issue though.
Same,
well, no,
yeah, same issue.
the question is, if we have a $4 million surplus, why did we cut $175,000 from the budget? Correct? Okay.
Why is it necessary?
And of that is payroll.
It's payroll. Those are people.
Please, so yes, we have a surplus. The budget that we just approved is close to $4 million. Okay, the money coming in is gonna be $3.4 million. So we're going, okay, I can speak off the top of my head and make sure I have the right numbers here.
No, that's right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You got it.
So effectively, there's a reserve fund that we will draw if and when the township spends every dollar that we just budgeted, the reserve fund will drop by $600,000. That is what we just approved
This year.
this year, this
But
1
right
year.
now, 4 million is in that reserves.
Unaudited, it's probably more than that, but it's.
Right, because I'm seeing more than that, but right. the
Right,
numbers I
right,
looked
right.
at, I'm coming up with more, and as the revenue increases and the spending goes down, it'll be even bigger.
But the revenue is not
But it's
increasing.
not.
Revenue
Revenues-
is not increasing, revenue
No,
is the
but you're
revenue.
gonna still bring in more revenue.
From where?
How?
Every year you will bring in revenue.
Our
Every
levy,
year
we get our
you'll bring in grants. Every year money will come
I
in,
would-
money will be spent.
I would,
right.
I would love grants to be coming in. We are dependent on those grants to fund the programs. The levy,
So how much are you saying will be in reserve after this budget is applied?
if we take $600,000 out of 4 million, 3.4 million. And do
Yeah.
that next year, and then it's down to 2.8.
And
do that the-
understanding costs go up.
It's gone in 3
Yep.
years.
We're
So the-
deficit
the-
spending by
Some-
$600,000.
Is that, do you understand? I'm sorry. I want to make sure.
So
I'm
you're
answering your question.
saying that from this reserve, this year's budget is whatever we've taken in plus something taken out of
Right,
that.
600,000.
And you're trying to allocate it over a few years.
What we're saying is, if we spend at that rate, there is nothing left in 6 years.
And we don't even levy enough to pay for all of the expenses that. The buildings that it costs.
So the 175,000 is a component of the budget. If that was in the budget, it would be a $750,000 drop from reserves this year.
Mhm.
That, so that we would spend that down even faster. We would be, that's 5 years, 6 years to get to 4 million.
So there's no way that those numbers that you're saying are actually in reality, because part of what we're doing is putting the investments to make sure that we, for example, most of these costs that we're talking about are once in a lifetime opportunity investments with ARPA funds. There's a huge question whether we're gonna get any of those. And so, again, when you look and see that every year we've spent
That's why you can't
less
count on
than
it.
what we have budgeted by quite a bit. So when we look at the actual numbers, and this is where Mark, you're not misunderstanding, this is manufactured prices that we are manufacturing for the township to not be able to face the needs that we've been dealing with for the last several years. Because when you look at our audited numbers of our accumulated funds, we have again continued to expend less every single year, even though our budget had a number that would allow us, and again, the thing that you have to understand with the budgets is that the highest that you can, and the odds of us actually spending at what the trustee Robinson is saying is very low. And so we're gonna come back to this and realize that, oh, we find it very difficult. And I'm sure we've all been through these meetings where $3,000 for that food pantry, we hardly eat any spending in the last few months.
Supervisor Hewitt, what is your
So-
background in accounting and budgeting?
And so
I'm not asking
wanting to
this
make sure that
facetiously, but
that I have the
Trustee
time
Robinson
again.
has spent countless hours with the accountant as well. How are his numbers so, and everybody else here, except for here, where we put this information out, understands it, except you and now the people who have been swayed to believe one way. This is concerning to me. And it should be concerning to everyone.
Whose numbers did this? The accountant? Did the accountant do these?
Oh, those audited numbers, actually, so I gave exactly the numbers from the audited statements. So all of those numbers came directly from the audited statements. And again, I want to make sure that we're following these.
I'm just not,
rules of
I'm just never gonna understand how if our spending has gone down year after year, if that is a truth. And we raised revenue on the township last year, which means we're collecting more in revenue. Which we are, because you raised my taxes, so
But we hired,
right?
we have
I get that.
times the
I
staff.
get that, because you also said you were gonna expand services.
But
So
we
that
have
was a
three
promise.
times the
You can't
staff.
expand services without staff.
That's not the question, but we
So,
have three
excuse
times
me,
the
but-
staff. The spend went up.
Trustee.
What I'm saying is that this,
Yes.
the cost that we're spending each year is going down. But yet the revenue that we have brought in has increased every year. Am I correct or not? Am I
Yes,
not reading this paper correct?
You're
Because
correct.
that's
So-
what it looks like.
we need to make sure that we're following these rules, and we had a
So that's
discussion and
what
we
I'm not
needed to
understanding.
answer Mr. Spiegel's question. I think we've answered his question.
He's saying at the end of the year, we will have 3.4.
Yeah.
Were we
I'll make a
wanting
motion
to?
to go into
move
executive session.
Right.
I'll second.
We're spending less.
We have a second?
Thank you, trustee Geist and
Okay.
trustee Page. Any discussion about moving to executive?
Can I just, for the motion, move into executive session? Exactly. So under the Open Meetings Act, you need to state a
Okay.
section of that. And the section you are looking for is C5.
We wanted,
Okay, I got it.
it's C5,
Okay,
Got it.
purchaser, student real estate.
that's fine.
Okay. We
You're
good? We good? Okay, so we're
You
supposed to be
need-
going
you
to
need a-
executive.
Well, you need a roll.
Roll call.
Yeah.
vote.
Sorry, Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yeah.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
This question, Lydia, is on the top.
Yep.